Good afternoon or good morning, depending on when you're watching it. This is the Highland Acres and Roosevelt flipped staff meeting for November 9th, 2016. We will still be having our meeting at Roosevelt on Wednesday, but this will give you kind of a head start as far as the material that you'll need to be prepared for, questions that you have, and there are a few things we're doing that we can't do on a flipped video. So the very first item we'll start with is reviewing the group norms. If you recall, we're going to start at 3:20. The agenda and the video will be in advance, so the agenda is on Google Docs, so you can take a look at it and certainly follow along as I go through. Prioritized, I did the best I could. Anything specific to the building is at the end. Please stay focused and on task, share without judgment, ask for clarity if you have any questions. Finish around 4, and I've asked that everyone make arrangements to be present and contribute. So the first items up are the district information, which I'm going to talk about all in the video format. I didn't know if you'd rather see my mug or if you'd rather see the agenda on, so I'm going to show this, we'll talk about it, and hopefully you can follow along on the district information on the Google Docs. So the very first item is volunteers. There's been questions about what level of consistency as far as volunteers go, and I know that it's come up a few times as far as how the volunteers are going to work at our school and who needs to get a background check and who doesn't need to get a background check. And so they are using the district took a look. I think it was West Fargo or Moorhead. Their HR department had done quite a bit of work and looked specifically, and so the district is kind of using that as a model. And so if it is a person that's volunteering that is low or no risk whatsoever, they'll be in direct supervision. It's not a consistent thing, just somebody that's coming in, parents coming in for a party or something like that. They'll be considered no or low risk. We don't do a background check. I will check the sex offender list. Any parents are automatically there, so if anybody's flagged on there, that would come to my attention. Medium to high risk, so that would provide an opportunity for unsupervised contact with student, or it's consistent, happens weekly, then we would do a background check. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. Next item, and this would be for our hourly employees, overtime. We were again notified, told again, that we are not going to be using overtime in an emergency, and it must be pre-approved by me. Videos and movie, so there was, and I think there's some information that Mike Jacobson has already offered or is going to offer in regards to the fair use guidelines. And so the fair use guidelines in reference to showing a video is one, it must be directly related to the curriculum. Number 2, there must be one class of students and one instructor. And number 3, it needs to be face-to-face. And the question that I have is we will need to purchase a movie licensing agreement that will cover class time after school and PTO and PAC. And I did go ahead and submit that form. It was $381 per school. And that is sent in. Also, I'm asking that you make sure that you submit the video showing permission form. I know that some of you are very, very good at it. I know some of you are not as consistent with it, but make sure that you submit that to me so I can sign off, and it's not that I'm necessarily going to question a whole lot other than making sure that it is related to the curriculum, but just so we cover our basis and you know what the guidelines are from the district. Next, there was a report apparently that somebody in the elementary level was still entering letter grades and not doing standards-based education. I have no indication that would be anybody here, but I'm asking that if that's somebody that's you, let me know. Future staff development days, we have building days on February 21st and March 13th. And so I'm asking for any contributions, any thoughts about what you would need. It's a ways out there. But what should the work be? Who needs to be present? How can we connect this work to our school goals? How can we connect it to the 5 big rocks? We do have some state required mental health training, which we're going to accomplish at least to begin a little bit later in this staff development, and what will we need after we do the book report. So things to consider, things to think about, and how these might even relate to your PLC goals. Next is bus training. This is going to all come out the Monday after Thanksgiving, and ultimately it's I don't know a whole lot about it other than the drivers are being trained to use the 30-second interventions, fix it. Conduct reports are all coming back to the building and they're handled at the building level, and I think there's going to be something more specific shared with everybody, including sports teams and everybody using the bus. So just so you know, after Thanksgiving there might be something else. Next, Lego kits, and Mike Jacobson certainly has a lot of information about this. There are pieces that are disappearing from the district kits, so we want to make sure that we're careful with those. And would we be interested in purchasing kits for our own building? We wouldn't be checking them out. We would have them to use. They're pretty spendy. I think I wrote on here $2,000 per class or per grade level. I think they're going to be willing to give us a better deal on that. It's a good investment, but it would be something that we wouldn't have to worry about pieces. Well, we could still worry about pieces disappearing, but they would be with us. So something to consider. And then FOSS kits. The feedback that I received from you in regards to FOSS kits is that you would prefer not keeping them in the building if you can check out our own school kit. Meaning that if you check them out, you use them, you send them back, they get resupplied, and I think they're kept at the F&T building. And then when you check them out the following year, you're checking out the very kit that you sent in last time. So there might be the possibility of a few schools piloting them, and we are also going to get a list of the teacher manuals. So it looks like we will keep our own. They'll be resupplied outside the building, and then we'll get to check out our own. I'll keep you updated on that. Next up, we have the school improvement team update, and that's going to be done live. So we'll review the mission and vision, and then the school improvement team is going to give us an update on how we're progressing towards our school-wide goals. I would ask that each PLC group reports out what their goal is going to be. Don't necessarily have to read it verbatim, but what the goal or the point, the theme of your goal is going to be. And I think I've heard at PLC's 3 out of the 4, so it shouldn't come as a big surprise. Behavior goal, we're going to talk quite a bit in regards to what our behavior goal is going to be in the entire behavior process. And I'll save a little more for the end in regards to that. Arts integration goal, Emily and I are going to be working on it. And then our school improvement team is going to give you an update on the 5 big rock goals, as well as talking about a school plant report. Our safety team update, we didn't have a meeting in October. It ended up being our staff development day that Wednesday. So our next meeting is November 16th. We're going to do a quick review of the big 4. And you should all have your pamphlets here that will have the big 4 on the bottom. When it comes to the cards and flipping out the cards, and we've gone back and forth and we've heard different things, to me, and I think the way that we're going to carry forward is that you only use the cards when we go out for a fire drill, because that would be the quick indication that you're missing somebody and we need to go find somebody. As far as any lockdowns or anything in the building, you wouldn't use those because you'd be indicating that somebody's in a room. So as just a quick point of clarity, if you go outside and time and finding somebody who's missing is important, then we show the cards. If not, then don't. The second marshalling area, we did visit that with Highland Acres, Roosevelt not yet. And then the safe site visit, Highland Acres took theirs last month, Roosevelt not that I'm aware of. PTO and PAC update, we have no Roosevelt meeting this month, and Highland Acres got moved to November 15th, so we'll get an update later. Next up, we have the peer-to-peer observations. And so to reiterate the expectations of the peer-to-peer observations, the expectation is that you are doing 1 observation of a peer every 2 weeks. That would be the expectation. The goal would be that you're doing one once a week. And so I do have a document that I've started collecting all of the highlights, all of the things that you've seen in classrooms, all of the items that you've learned, all of the things that you've taken from watching your colleagues. There are some challenges that are involved, and it comes a little bit from what the data has told me. When I'm taking a look, there's a few things that jump out. One, there's a few of you that have been observed many, many, many times. Even an award should be given out for those people that have been observed. I think the highest might be 6 to 7 times, maybe even 8. So that tells me something. It also tells me a little bit about what rooms haven't been visited as often and what challenges might be there, the opportunities that you have to go and observe. I know that there's been, you're almost limited to maybe when you have PE or music, maybe when you have the counselor. But know that I am collecting that data. Know that I am paying real close attention to which classrooms are being visited. And one of the things that came up at our staff development day that maybe there needs to be a little bit of onus on asking people to come and observe you. So instead of you taking the lead on going to find rooms to go visit, that if you're one of those classrooms that haven't been visited much, maybe you need to go and find some people to come and watch you. Taking a look at schedule. I know that we are in a business to where we need to be flexible in our schedules, in our specials, and so I'm going to ask that as I'm tracking all of this information, and I'm going to share it in a presentation soon. But be aware of the fact of how many people are observing you, and go find some people, and even give them kind of an outlet or an idea of what. If you have questions about what you're doing with guided reading, if you have questions about what you're doing with PBL, if you have questions about how you're using the FOSS kits, whatever that may be, that this is an opportunity that you can ask somebody to come into your room and watch, and even alter your plans a little bit so you have somebody giving you some feedback. So as much as it's been, the person that's coming in and what they see, but also take it from the account of having somebody come and specifically watch you to provide feedback. And I know it's not comfortable, but it's 15 minutes every other week. I know that we're busy. I know there's some that have not gotten as many done as they need to, and as I wrote in the email, there's going to be an accountability that's going to go along with that. If I recall, it was 2 years ago, year and a half ago, that we have aides that are covering a lot of the recesses, allowing teachers that time. So works both ways sometimes. Give a little time, I'm going to ask for a little bit of time. So next item is personality type, and this goes back to 2 years ago when we all figured out our personality type. And so if you remember what your personality type, think about what challenges you might face because of that personality type. If you don't remember, or you weren't here 2 years ago, you can click on that link that's in the agenda, and it can tell you a little bit about your personality, and it's good information. It's good to know where people are coming from. All right, the last few things. One, we're going to have some mental health training. So there's going to be a sign-up sheet. In case I forget, there'll be a sign-up sheet that everybody can sign up. Mike Jacobson and Anita Bartel are on the list to present, so they'll be presenting. On Wednesday, I've asked them, and this would be the expectation for everybody who's presenting, 10 to 20 minutes, some sort of presentation or handout or something. But really you're just talking about the highlights of the book and how that may pertain to us working in the schools. Next, and this is going to happen live as well, Deanna is going to talk about a teacher resource list, and so there'll be a sign up there, and I'll let her talk about it when she gets there. The next item, which is going to be new, and it is coming out of an area that was requested from last year in regards to our behavior tiering. So a few things. Number one, we do have our list of behavior tiers that we ran. I thank all of those folks in PLCs for filling out that assignment to give us more updated information. Tara and Sue and I met. I feel like they're pretty good triangles. I think it's a pretty good start. So I'm going to give those tiers out to you next week. But I just want you to look at them. I want you to see where kids landed. And I want you to think about what we're doing or what we could be doing for those kids that are in the second and the third tier. What we've decided to do is we need to take some time to make sure that this system is going to work well, that it's meaningful, and that we are matching interventions with kids. And as Chris Ermintrout asked at our staff development day, we don't know much about the interventions that we have available. So, on the last Wednesday of the month, if you recall, the first Monday we have school improvement team, the second is the staff meeting, third we have a safety team meeting, and the fourth we haven't. Most schools, the majority of schools, have 2 staff meetings a month. And sometimes those staff meetings go until 5 o'clock. I've been pretty good about getting us out of there by 4 o'clock, and these flip meetings help. But I'm going to ask that at least for November, December we won't be here, and January, that we are going to come together that last Wednesday of the month, and I'm going to start a Google Doc, and we are going to talk about the behavior tiering, and we're going to talk about the role of problem solving in our school, at both of the schools. And so put that on your schedule, put that on your calendar, and I'll share the agenda when we get closer. But it is going to be that last Wednesday of the month, and that you're going to bring your tiering information, and then we are specifically going to be talking about the interventions that we have available, how those interventions might use, how data collection is important, and how we're going to meet the needs of those kids. And there's going to be a little role playing, so it's going to be good stuff. Any other business we're going to do live. And so I think that gets me to the end of the agenda. I'm recording this on Friday, so there may be some things that come up before our meeting on Wednesday, but I certainly think this gives you a head start. So going back, any of the district information I've covered, if you have questions about them, save them for the meeting. The school improvement team, we'll talk about their update. The safety team, we're going to do a quick review of the Big Four, and so we'll have the flip chart there. PTO and PAC, no update there. Peer-to-peer, I think I went over what I wanted from there. If we have any questions, we can certainly talk about the peer-to-peer observations. Personality type, all I want you to do is think about what your personality type is. If you don't remember, take the test, and then think about the challenges that you might face because of it. We're going to have the mental health training when we're there with Mike and Anita. Deanna's going to have her sign-up sheet. And then again, the last Wednesday of the month, starting this month, we're going to have a behavior meeting. We will do it same as November is a Roosevelt month, so we'll do it at Roosevelt. You'll need your behavior tiering, the sheets that I'm going to give you next week, and then there'll be information, and we're going to kind of go through how that's going to work, and that's the end. We will see you Wednesday. We're meeting at Roosevelt. We'll start at 3:20, and we might be getting close to 4 o'clock because of the presentations and the things that we have to do, but we'll go as quickly as possible. Bring your questions.